Howdy, hey folks, this is Jesse with Team SodaKan, and if you can't tell, I'm going to be doing a deck profile on Black X-Antibody for the BT7 format. First things first, as always with all our deck profiles, we're going to start with babies. We play 5 babies. The one of is a Pagumon from BT6. Just an on deletion starter deck Tentomon skill for Black Digimon is nice. And since it is a bit of a grindy format, I feel like a 5th baby is necessary. And then the 4th baby, the 4 of is of course Doraemon. When you put a Digivolution card under this Digimon, draw one. Consistency is nice, so that is why Doraemon is the 4 of course. Alright, so that was our babies. Our level 4s, not level 4s, level 3s, apologies. Okay, so Dorumon, it is X-Antibody, so of course we're going to be playing the Searcher that we do not mind actually evolving down in the breeding area all too often. The on-play skill is nice, but we have other ways to search. And the inheritable of your turn, once per turn, when one of your effects places a Digivolution card under this Digimon, gain 1 memory. That is nutty. Now, memory blocker Digimon do shut that down, but you can proc this skill when you put this card under a Digimon by using like a Dorugreymon effect. You can, if you choose to put a Dorumon under there, you can gain a memory with that Dorumon. It's weird. It's nutty. I like it. For the other babies, we run 4 of the Toy Agumon that gives reboot. I am going for a build that is aggressive, but allows my top end to also be defensive. A very, I'd say, balanced build. So we want to be aggressive, so reboot makes sense. And also just not too much for X-Antibody just yet. We're playing 3 of Junkmon. Again, we're playing the starter deck Megidramon in this, so we're going to be potentially like losing our Digimon or having them die. So, and on deletion of gaining 1 is not a bad option. And then 2 drops. I went with Hagurumon. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of it in this list. I would rather play Chumon. So that is a change that will be happening at some point in the future, but for right now we are playing the 2 drop. Alright, so level 4s, it is X-Antibody, so of course we're playing Dorugamon. Dorugamon's inheritable is an all turns BT5 Garurumon or Greymon. Just if you have X-Antibody in the traits, you get plus 1k all turns. It's fantastic. And then it also has an ability of during your opponent's turn, if you have another Digimon with X-Antibody in play, it gains blocker. So we do use this as like our early blocker for the game, for the most part. But we do also play 3 Mechanorimon as an additional blocker. Also with things like Magna Garurumon and Emperor Greymon, Red and Blue Hybrid. They play a little bit of a rookie rush game. Red in particular, since Takuya does require its sources to be coming from trash. Mechanori is a bit more of a threat there. And just a couple like little tech options more than anything. I played Nanimon. I just really enjoyed it in the last format when I was, toying around with Black Royal Knights every now and again. So I just think Nanimon is a good card. It's a 3 to hard drop, which I think is fantastic. And if it gets played out of security, then hey, it gets played out of security. That's neat. And we do have a good amount of tamers, so we just do play 2 Grumblemons. Also, the artist Koki is fantastic, so we just gotta show some love. But 2 Grumblemons, so that way we can essentially Lobo for game. Okay, so our level 5s. Bit simpler. Doru Greymon. Doru Greymon, when digivolving, you can put a card with X-Antibody in its traits at the bottom of its sources, so that way it can't be deleted by card effects or have its DP reduced during the until the end of your opponent's next turn. And then its inheritable is if you have X-Antibody, you get security attack +1. I have put a Doru Greymon under this before when digivolving, and then swinging for an additional check at 7k or 8k if I have Doru Greymon under there. I believe this is something that actually happened in the previous video of Stack Burst versus X-Antibody. So hey, that's interesting. Go check that out. Okay, so Digimon, it just, like I said, we play the starter deck Digimon. It gives blocker to our level 6s through its inheritable, and it's just solid. It's part of the reason why we play Toyagumon and also Junkmon. And then Volcanomon from BT6, just to have potentially more aggression. Warumanze could also have come into this slot. I think I'd rather the slight aggression over anything else. Alright, so for the big guy himself that is really only going to get played this maybe next format. But once BT9 comes around, it does not see much play. Doru Goromon, hey, hi. This is a relatively strong Digimon. So it gets +1000 for every source it has that is X-Antibody. And then when attacking, you may place a card with X-Antibody in its sources. And then delete up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon whose play costs are the same or less than the amount of sources that you have. So if you have 5 sources and you throw an additional one on, go up to 6 sources, you can play up to you can delete up to 2 things that have a play cost of 6. It's really solid, and you can easily get like 5, 6, 7 sources under these things, and it's fun because that makes Metal Cannon pretty solid. And we do play 3 of the secret rare BT6 Alphamon, primarily just because it is an X-Antibody. Its security effect does come in handy. It's when attacking is alright. You don't really ever use it because you do want to be gaining the majority of your value from the end of attack skill. But that's besides the point. We do just play 3 Alphamon. Alright, so options. We're going to go over our consistency pieces, I guess, first. Metal Cannon. You know, early game, if you're only finding yourself with like a Dorugamon, it's still a draw 2 for 2 cost, or even with like Doru Greymon, that is a like potentially a draw 4. It's just drawing cards. It's not a bad thing at all. We play 2 Black Memory Boost. Again, just searching is super nice. Since we play this is why I'm not so upset about evolving Dorumon in the breeding area most of the time, because this is always an option. For our removal though, we do play 1 Ultimate Flare. This might get bumped up to 2, but we might also swap Brave Metal out for something like an Iron Fisted Onslaught. Brave Metal If you do not know yet, it is delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 6 or less. If you have a Digimon with 5 or more Digivolution cards and X-Antibody in its traits in play, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon without X-Antibody in its traits instead. We did have a video where we misplayed and just went with that second effect when it was not actually live. But we have since learned. But yeah, Brave Metal is something that I've been, testing out. It can potentially be a cheap Gaia Force, so I don't think it's a bad option at all. But Ultimate Flare, I think, is also really solid. So I think this 1-in-1 for a deck that's mostly just for fun is not bad at all. And then, of course, Tamers. We do play 3 Kota. It is also a searcher when it is played. It reveals the top 4 and then adds an X-Antibody to your hand, and then a memory setter on top of that, which is super solid. Again, the deck wants to be as consistent as possible, so that is why it plays the way it does. And then we do play an Izzy and Joe. The potential extra memory is always nice, and then since we do play a little bit of a blocker heavy, blocker focused build, it's not even that heavy of the blockers, but since they are there, we do get to sometimes pop off its a skill of just drawing during the opponent's turn. But yeah, folks, that is my black X-Antibody deck for the BT7 format. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it inspired somebody out there to build the deck for themselves, because it is super fun, and I do thoroughly enjoy playing it when I do. But that's besides the point, folks. Like and subscribe, please. I'd love for that to have for the channel to grow. Leave a comment even. But anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye bye.